Esau and his space junk will be wiped out soon. Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kodash. And this is a video that was sent to me by Apostle Aram Lab. This is RT America. And if I remember, I'll leave the link in the description box. If I don't, just go to RT America and type in space debris, who's in charge of cleanup, or Esau, because he put the space junk up in the heavens. You know, this man is really, he done really fucked up everything. And you know, the Lord, the supreme power, his beloved son Yahushua, and the angels, they're going to really fuck this devil up. They're going to have a party. That's going to be a party. They're not just going to take him out quick. They're going to have fun. They're going to put the spirit on him. It tells you in and I may read that. I'm not going to make this too long. Let's see where the spirit takes me. You know, a lot of precepts come to mind dealing with this particular subject. Anyway, it says in Second Esdras, the 13th chapter, it speaks about them being afraid, and yet there's fight. And why is that? Because the angel, them, inside joke, is going to put a spirit. They're going to take control of the instrument panel. So when these Edomites go to retreat, because they're going to see they're going to get devastated in them heavens, man, pursuant to Revelation, the 12th chapter, that they're going to say, we can't defeat these beings. Their technology is too powerful, because these dumb Edomites, they're thinking that they're aliens. They're going to think that they're aliens, man. They're not thinking that they're angels from heaven. See, you know what I'm finding out? Edomite, you Edomites been playing this game like you're so fucking smart. You're not smart. You Edomites are not fucking smart. You know, it speaks about the wisdom of Teman. The Most High took your wisdom, man. I'm pissed the fuck off, man. In a way, I wish I was an angel in one of them ships so I can get you motherfuckers too. The whole world is tired of you, you motherfuckers. Anyway, let's go into a couple of precepts. And I'm pissed off. This nigga gotta go. This Edomite nigga gots to go. I ain't saying that, but in my mind, I'm curses all up in you motherfuckers, man. This devil gotta go, man. And you know what? You Negroes gotta go too. Because not enough of you are out there on the highways and the byways, man. And you brothers that are currently in GMS or in any camp, and you're not on fire, and you're not, anybody that's taking a break right now with all these prophecies popping off, all you guys that, let me do a video, you do a 5-minute video, then you don't do another video for 2 months. You might come to the camp, you might not come to the camp. But if you come to the camp, you're basically a third titty. You're like off to the side somewhere. Revelation, the 3rd chapter, the 15th verse on down, speak about lukewarm. Either be hot or cold, and because you're lukewarm, merely paraphrasing, the Lord said, I will spew thee out of thy mouth. And that's why through the years, going back to the 1 West days, where am I at? Revelation. Going back to the One West days, do you know how many people, individuals, brothers that fell off from the truth and went back into the world? Them same guys are around. They're watching the videos. Some are talking shit. The Most High is going to destroy them. You are going to get the same destruction as Esau, the Edomites. And the Edomites are walking around, vocab. You are an Edomite until it's proven otherwise. We deem you as being an Edomite. That's why you said, oh, the Edomites are done away with it. Of course, because you came to the conclusion that the Edomites are so-called white people, and you're kind of hoping, wishful thinking that there was no such thing as Edomites, so you wouldn't have to deal with the consequences. And you're gonna be the worst. If you could be anybody on the earth, you would wish that you would be a bug. You wish you was a pinche bug that you can get stomped on and be done with. No, you're Edomites, man. And you have to pay. You have to get fucked up. And they're probably going to take this video down for hate speech. Anyway, this scripture comes to mind. Let me go right to the point. I'll start at the 3rd verse. And there appeared another one in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. That's Esau. How do we know that? Because he's red. Having 7 heads. And this knucklehead, Geno Jennings, Pastor Geno Jennings, that clown, he was calling himself trying to break down Revelation, the 13th chapter. That dude's a complete clown, a complete joke. If you're watching Geno, you should start watching these videos so you can learn something. The Antichrist. Anyway, it says, and there appeared another one in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heavens, which represents Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Now, mind you, you have Israelite from the northern kingdom that got back with the kingdom of Judah. But the major tribes that were left in the land, the so-called land of Israel, is the 3 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And they cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which represent Israel, which or a part of Israel that was still there. This was the only time of the birth of our Lord, the Messiah, was ready to be delivered. That represents, in a micro sense, it represents Mary, the mother of our Lord. In a macro sense, it represents Israel as being a woman. Israel is likened unto a comely beautiful woman. Was that Jeremiah 6:2, if I'm not mistaken? For to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, this is specifically talking about Herod the Great, as they call him. And when you read the whole account, they had to flee into Egypt. Why did they flee into Egypt? Number one, there was so-called black people. They were fleeing amongst other black people, and those black people that they were so-called black people that they were fleeing to were Israelites, because you had Israelites that were heavily in Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, and other parts. When you go back into the history, go back into the Josephus, go into the Apocrypha, speaks about the wars with Egypt and the Seleucid line, mainly Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus the Fourth. You had Israelites that were forced into slavery into Egypt. You had Israelites that went and lived and worked in Egypt and created and set up communities. So, you know, the Lord's parents had to have relatives in Egypt. So some of those Egyptians today are actually Israelites. You know, some of those so-called Ethiopians, Eritreans. So you got Israelites scattered throughout Africa, pursuant to the scriptures, Deuteronomy 28:64, and other scriptures. All you got to do is look up the word scattered, do a word search, and you get a whole bunch of scriptures. And we are majorly big on the West Coast, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, all that whole West Coast from the north down into South Africa. Yeah, I had picked up about a year and a half ago. I picked up 3 so-called African women, and I thought they were Simeonites, and they were looking good. And the finest one came in the front seat, and I was hoping, and she had this short, sexy skirt on. She was classy. I said, these ain't no nigga women from the hood. They were classy women, and the finest one, I said, I hope she don't come in the front seat and sit next to me. And she wound up sitting right next to me, you know. And I had to, I had to talk to him, you know how you mingle with them, flirt and shit. And I told him, I said, you ladies are looking very, very good. But I forget what I said. I said, you ladies are looking very good. You're looking very nice, or something to that effect. And they were all, they were flattered by it, but they were looking fine, and they were speaking that African talk, and I was asking what language is that, but they sounded sexy speaking it, man. I said, man, these women ain't no Hamites. These women are Israelites, man. They look like Simeonites. If I took a picture of them, I should have took a picture. I said, can I take a picture of you lovely ladies? And I show you the picture, you would think that they were Simeonites, man. Anyway, let me get back into the story here, into the video, excuse me. Anyway, it says, so they fled into Africa because you had communities all throughout Africa of Israelites. That's why ultimately it says Israel's going to be as the stars of the heaven and the sands of the sea that cannot be measured or numbered. So that means there's more Israelites on the planet Earth right now than any nation under heaven. You might say, what about the Chinese? There's like 2 billion of them. Look, there's got to be at least 3 billion Israelites out there. You're going to have Israelites looking like everybody. Okay? Anyway, it says, 5th verse. The title is the male child, the Messiah. It says in 5th verse, Revelation 12 verse 5, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations, which is the kingdom. And who are we in relation to Yahweh Shai as far as the kingdom is concerned? It tells you in Romans 8 chapter, we are joint heirs. So if you got a father that's a multi-billionaire and he leaves his inheritance to the children, the oldest son gets the lion's share of the inheritance, but the other sons and daughters, they get inheritance too. So we're going to get what the Lord gets. It says, 5th verse, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations. That's the kingdom, with a rod of iron. What does that mean? With a rod of iron, meaning you're going to be beating people in the head with that scepter. And they showed you that in the Bugs Bunny cartoon, where this guy was acting like a king, and the servant came and he kept bopping him over the head with the scepter, and the guy had to keep praising this guy, and that's what they're going to do to us. He says, arise, sir, loin of beef. Arise, Duke of Ellington. Arise, Count Basie. And the dude said, he's all was punch drunk with them shots, and he said, "Your Highness, you are too kind." And that's what these Edomites gonna be. We're gonna beat their shit, and they're gonna love it, man. They're gonna love it. They really ain't gonna love it, but they're gonna say they're gonna love it. They better. It says, and her child was caught up unto the Most High and to his throne. I wonder how this clown, Pastor Geno Jennings, or any of those Christians, anybody that's in Christianity, you're just a fucking retard. Okay? It said, the woman, now we know the woman is Israel, fled into the wilderness, where she was, where she have a place prepared of the Most High. The wilderness represent Africa, the place represent America. That they should feed her there 1,300 days. That represents right now. And that's being cut. That's why prices are going up. You got a thing called inflation going on. Hey, I'll give you a little story. I had a couple of pieces of silver, and I had some work done on a car of mine. It's a Simeonite mechanic, and you know what I did? I said, I can give you regular money, I can give you silver. So I explained the whole silver thing in like inside this 5 minutes. He said, look, man, I'm taking the silver. And he took the silver. He said, fuck the money. He said, give me the goddamn silver. It was only a couple of coins. You know? That I had laying around. I explained it, and I told him, I said, look, if you think I'm trying to rip you off, you got my number, you call me, I'll give you the money. He said, I ain't gonna call you. I'm good. He said, just for that lesson alone, that's all I needed. You know, he basically didn't even want the money, man. He said, when I broke down silver and gold to him, you know. Anyway, it says, 7th verse, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Michael and his angels, Yahushua is in front of Michael. You got the Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe they teach that Michael is Yahushua or the Lord, which he's not. Michael is right behind Yahushua in that order of the 4 archangels. It says, and it's also mentioned in Daniel 12:1. It's the 7th verse, Revelation 12, verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon, we know who the dragon is. That's the so-called white man. That's not the Antichrist. That's Esau, but it's the military part of Esau. Because you're going to have regular, average Edomites on the earth. They're not going to be fighting the angels. The ones that's going to be fighting the angels are the ones that's in the military. The ones that possess fighter jets and so forth. And the dragon fought and his angels, and angels just mean messengers. It says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So they're going to be wiped out of heaven, but all that space junk, that's going to be wiped out of heaven too. I mean, I can go into a bunch of more scriptures. And that's going to happen during the time of Jacob's trouble. You can't say, well, when the Babylonians took us over and when the Assyrians took down the kid, that was the Jacob's trouble like that. No, we have yet to experience the time of Jacob's trouble, which is going to also be the time of Esau's trouble, which is going to also be the time of the world's trouble. Anyway, let me give you one more precept. A whole lot of precepts is in my mind, but I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to make this long. This is like a one-hitter quitter. You know, this is like a quick hit, so to speak. And that's what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of quick videos. And these are scriptures that you should already know if you're a part of this thing, you know, and should be teaching. Okay, where did I say I was going to go? Oh yeah, Revelation 11. Revelation 11 goes hand in hand with Revelation 12. Let me see, Revelation 11 and Where can I start? Okay, I'll start from the 15th verse. And this whole chapter, the thing about Revelation, when you get into it, you really got to read from the first verse to the very last verse. The same thing goes with Revelation 12 or any of the books of Revelation, so you can fully get the understanding. I love to, most scriptures, when you're dealing with breakdowns, I love to start from the very beginning. And you know what I find out? You got guys that'll read precept upon precept, right? And they'll come to the conclusion that it means this. But if they read the whole chapter, they would get the full understanding. Like Nate. See, Nate is in denial right now. He said that there's no such thing as Jacob's trouble when Jacob's trouble is written in the scriptures. How can there not be no such thing as Jacob's trouble when the word Jacob's trouble, those words are in the scriptures? Jeremiah 30. And when you read Jeremiah 30 verses 1 to the end, you can see that Jacob's trouble is only going to take place at one time, and it's yet to take place. That's when the Lord come back. That's when all hell breaks loose. That's when the majority of the earth is chipped. See, once everybody gets chipped, microchipped or hit with the mark of the beast, that's when everything's going to move quick. That's when everything is going to move quick. Anyway, Revelation 11 verse 15. It says, as Elder Malcolm would say, and it reads, everybody got their little thing, it says, and it reads, and the seven angels sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are who? The other nations. When you go back to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, when you go back to Daniel, the 7th chapter, there was one kingdom after the other, the Babylonians, Medo-Persians, Greeks. And that's in secular history. All right? It says, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, meaning those kingdoms are going to be within side of our kingdoms, but they're going to be slaves and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. So our kingdom, it's the Lord's kingdom. You have the Most High, Yahweh himself. You have his beloved son, Yahweh Shai. You have the children of Israel, and you have the angels. Then you have the other nations which are going to be up under us. So get ready for, if you're not an Israelite, get ready for slavery. It says, in the 24 elders which sat before the Most High on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped the Most High, saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord, power almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hath reigned. That's when the kingdom comes, when he reigns. 18th verse, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and thy wrath is come is simultaneously with Armageddon, the time of Jacob's trouble, and for that matter, the time of Esau's trouble, because they're going to be troubled as well. And every nation on the earth is going to be troubled. It says, and 18th verse, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged. Now, this guy, Vocab Malone, said, well, the Edomites are done away with. Okay, let's go with that. Let's say there's no such thing as Edomites, that they're done away with. Guess what? The dead's got to be judged. You got to come back. So you can't get out of the game by way of death. You can't get out of the game. Even you, Vocab, and your Christian community, you Christian clowns, you teach that there's a place called hell. So there's people burning in hell, man. So let's deal with that scenario. But the Most High, if let's say there is an actual hell, the Most High is going to bring you back to the earth to judge you again. And that's a whole nother subject. You got a thing called the Great White Throne Judgment. Let me see if I can bring that up. I'm gonna put in the Great White Throne Throne Judgment. Let's see what precepts come up. Okay, boom. Let me see if they're going to bring up any precepts. Let me do it this way. Okay. Okay, it's in Revelation 20, verse 11. Let me bring that up.
Dr. Mike.
Here we go. Okay, it says Revelation 20, verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before the Most High. So the Most High is going to bring back the dead to life so they can be judged. And the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So when we go out on the highways and the byways, we're judging you, and ultimately the ultimate judge is the Most High, but we're judging you, man. We're bringing charges against you. It says, and the sea gave up the dead. You got people that are buried at sea, like people in the Navy, they bury them at sea. It says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell. And by the way, death, when somebody dies, where do you put that person? You put them in the grave, right? So now it says, and death and hell delivered up the dead. Now, vocab in the Christian community teaches that there's a place where people burn in hell, so they're being judged according to you. So why would the Most High bring them back and judge them again? They're already being judged. Well, that hell represents the grave. Let me read that again, 13th verse. Anytime you see the word hell, is talking about the grave. Now, loosely translated, it's also talking about a condition. But it's actually talking about the grave, the place where you bury somebody. That's why I was in Acts, the 2nd chapter, it speaks about the Lord being in hell for 3 days and 3 nights. Well, he was actually in the tomb. He was actually in the sepulcher, which was in the earth. So he was actually physically dead for 3 days, 3 nights. All right, so he was in hell. It says, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they would judge every man according to their works. So what you did on this earth, Esau, you're gonna have to pay for it in the coming kingdom. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Basic scriptures. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. When they already in the lake of fire? According to you guys? This is the second death. And that's talking about the missiles. So the Most High gonna resurrect you Edomites and you other nations to get hit with the missiles. 15 verse. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. And that lake of fire represents America being on fire. Okay, so now we're back in the 18 verse, Revelation 11:18. And it's good to go through these breakdowns over and over again. As I was taught by High Priest Ariah, he would go through these interpretations of these prophetic scriptures over and over again. I would say, well, wait a minute, he went through that 2 weeks ago. Why is he going through that again? You know, this don't make no sense. But now it makes sense to me because it stays in your mind. See, when you don't go over these over and over again, these prophetic scriptures, and you know me, I'm always saying something dealing with prophecy, prophetic scriptures. This is why you got a Barak or Elder Barak. He did a breakdown on Revelation, the 12th chapter, and totally botched the whole chapter. Man, he's teaching that when Barack Obama was in office, he said Barack Obama is the Antichrist, and when Trump came into office, he said Trump is going to build up a statue that we got to bow down to. And you know why he teaches such nonsense? Because he doesn't go through the scriptures. He doesn't go into the prophecies. And they're not even really talked about too much. HODC. You know, this is not, I'm not coming with hate. I'm not starting no fight. I'm just telling you the truth, man. You know? Hey, I give props to this guy, Captain Tazariak, because he does them debates, but he's always bringing out precepts. And so when I watch him, I say, yep, right on that one, right? The right scripture to go to, the right precept to go to. You know, if you're of another camp, hey, you had the IUIC brothers on Eastern Parkway going back and forth with a so-called Jew, and I was giving them props. I said, you brother hit the right scriptures. You know, if you're on point, if you're of another camp, I'm gonna praise you, man. It says 18 verse again, Revelation. I'm gonna close this. Revelation 11 verse 18, and I'm thinking if I brought out all the scriptures that was just came to my mind, I'll be here for about an hour and change. And that's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, it says and that's the topic right there. That's the way it's supposed to be. And the nations, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Meaning, when vocab comes against us, we're just telling you the truth, man. You want to turn us into liars. You know, you want to be on 110th Street and Broadway and go to 125th Street, and if I tell you it's going to go straight up, and you telling me I'm a liar. And if I say you're right, then you're making me. You want to see vocab. You want to make me a liar, and you're not going to make me a liar. You living in a lie. You living in that swamp of lies. See, we're not going to go in that swamp with you, man. Back to the video. 18 verse, Revelation 11 verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints. Who are the prophets? Guys like us, guys that go out on the highways and the byways every week, guys that are constantly putting up videos every week, every day. And to the saints of the rest of the Israelites, and them that fear thy name, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyed the earth. And you just didn't destroy the earth, you just destroyed space. You put all that space junk up in there, man. It says in 19 verse, and the temple of the Most High was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple, the ark of his testimony, and there were lightnings and voices and thunders and an earthquake and great hail. That's the destruction. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.